Superb. So good morning. We have today Pauline and Michelangelo. Michelangelo's over in Italy and Pauline is in Sussex. The camera is focused on Pauline at the moment, I think, for some reason. Yeah, not a problem. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Karen. Good morning.
So for those watching, this is our fourth episode, I guess, of a podcast on Wise Women Weekdays. And if you guys are enjoying it, as I know some of you are, I'm getting comments, please do comment on this video. Put a comment in the description and questions if you want to know more about the yes and the no foods and what have you. And Pauline will reply to you, or I will. So please like it, please share it. Please comment, please subscribe to the channel so we get more and more people on board so we can get this information out to you. And this week we are going to focus on women, the beautiful women, Wise Women Weekdays, and women. Not that men aren't beautiful as well, we love men, especially we've got Michelangelo, he's a wise man, and he's very happy to talk to us about women and hormones and the menopause and all sorts of beautiful things. And somebody's phone's just ringing there, I can hear. So Michelangelo, I want to say hello in Italian. I forgot. Ciao. Oh, ciao. So off you go, Michelangelo. How are you? Of course. I mean, we just had this little chat before, but you're well. I take it. You've got sunshine over there. We've got rains.
Thank you. I am well, and I am enjoying today a beautiful day in Italy. A difference from the other days in which it was raining, and we can talk about the subject that you introduced, and is quite interesting because the menopause is considered sort of imbalance, almost a sort of pre-sickness or something, when it is a natural moment in the flow of life, in the harmony of life. And the women who had maybe big imbalances that they did not recognize during their life up to the menopause or the premenopause, they start to suffer certain symptoms, and this obliges the allopathic medicine to focus and jump on the symptoms to try to resolve them or neutralize them or make them disappearing. So the problem is the reading of the symptoms could help us to understand what are the organs. And in this case, I recall what we said in the previous talks, in the previous webinars, because the organs are talking through the symptoms, and they are telling us what's going on and how they are working like crazy in order to restore or keep the balance in our body. So the first thing is to understand that the symptoms are not to be fought, but they are the indicators that the body wants to stay alive, to stay healthy, and to stay balanced. Only in our mentality, we think that the symptoms are a sign of bad health and they require a sort of therapy to be neutralized and to be erased and defeated. So, for example, many women, when they start to approach or they are into the start of the menopause, they have great hot flashes, sweats, swelling, many different symptoms, because remember, we are all different, and we are also depending from the informations that we have received from our ancestors and especially from our parents. So the parents give us all the package of what we are, coming from what they were in the moment in which they conceived. So, for example, a father like my father gave me a big imbalance on the liver, and my mother gave me a big imbalance on the spleen and on the intestine and maybe on the kidney. And when I started to clean my body, I saw all the releases of these imbalances that were not only the mistakes which I have done, But on top of this, after this, we arrive to the cleaning, to the realigning of what we have inherited from our parents. And many women also, they look at their mothers and they see, my mother got the menopause at 50, my mother at 52, my mother at 46, and I will copy her. Sometimes it's not that. Also, for women who had, let's say, a careless upbringing, let's say they do not practice what I am teaching. For example, not eating the animal foods, not eating the nightshades, and avoiding to use drugs and pharmaceutical support to kill the symptoms and everything. So then it becomes important that women who have lived, let's call the normal life, so they were normally going through the allopathic way of dealing with what was happening in their body. When they arrive to the menopause, they will also have a lot of, we can see that the menopause is a privileged moment in which women with the normal cycle, the menstrual period, the menstruations, which we see the menstruation as a great cleansing of the blood and the liver of the body. That's why the uterus and the prostate in the embryo, they are the representative of the connection with the liver, and so on. They go on up to when we get old. And in the old age, you see men get prostatic problems and women, they get uterus problems. And all these problems.
Sorry, Michelangelo, can I just talk about the prostate there? Because it's the prostate, is that used for cleansing as well then, to clearing out the blood as the women go through the periods each month? Is this the same sort of thing for the prostate?
The prostate is a little bit different because the human male has a different structure in the body. So the humans, the male, don't have the menstruation, and women have this privilege, which has this periodical monthly cleansing, and the men, they should have more physical activity to burn the toxins and the things that women recharge and we can call recycle, through the elimination of what is not economically speaking feasible. So they release the endometrius, which is the tissue of the uterus, and they release through that all the toxins which the liver has taken in order to get rid of. So
okay. Sorry, somebody's got their phone on. I don't know if that's you, Pauline. I keep getting phones and buzzing. Could you mute it, perhaps? Somebody just
I'll make sure mine's turned off, but I haven't had anything come through. But
something keeps going beep, beep, beep. I don't know if you can hear it. Yes, it's very disturbing, disruptive. But Michelangelo, if I could just go back, because you mentioned prostate, and that obviously a woman doesn't have a prostate. And I, as far as I know, I don't know what the prostate does. My father died because of prostate cancer, and I know many men. They say every man will get prostate cancer at some stage, whether they have an operation and they get rid of the cancer, or they die with the cancer. I don't know, but can you just sort of talk a wee bit about prostate, if you wouldn't mind?
Prostate is a gland which is in the urogenital apparatus and is made of a fibrotic tissue or fiber tissues, and it is similar. The origin, the embryogenesis, is the same like the uterus. In fact, up to the 4th month of the pregnancy, we cannot see if the fetus is undetermined. You don't see if it is a male or a female. And then after the 4th month, the sexual characters appear. So it's called meatus, remains open and becomes the vagina in the woman, in the, and the meatus closes up and it becomes the penis in the man through the clitoris remain what it is in the woman, and this enlarges in the man and becomes the penis. Inside there is this gland, which in the women is the uterus. In the man is the prostate, and the prostate produces a certain liquid which will help the sperms, the sperm cells to be more fluid and everything. When in the woman, the uterus becomes the receptor of the fertilized egg, in which then it will develop, it will, let's say, cling on and stays inside to develop the pregnancy. The basic original tissue is the same. They have some little different functions, but as physiological functions, energetical function, they depend from the liver. Both, they depend from the liver. We study in the Chinese medicine that the liver nourishes and governs the muscles and the muscle tissues. So in the woman is more visible because the endometrium, which is the tissue that belongs to the uterus, it looks like a liver. When some women release the myomes or when they have heavy menstruation, sometimes they release like pieces of liver. And that's allowed also the Chinese to understand probably that the liver and the uterus are strictly bonded. But the same is for the prostate. And when you have too much toxins in the liver uses the prostate and the uterus as, let's say, safety bins, like release the garbage bin. Of course, they, with a bad nutrition, with a bad emotional nutrition and all what participates to the human body, we see that uterus and prostate gland after the 40s, let's say in the early 50s and 60s, they can start to develop certain symptoms. And the normal medicine, the allopathic medicine, of course, looks at them as the problem, when the problem lies much before and behind. And the real, let's say, organ, let's say the main organ in ruling these problems is always the liver. So in giving drugs, let's say like chemotherapy or anything that they give, anti-inflammatory drugs or whatever, will increase the load of toxicity, which goes through the blood and then obliges the liver to filter more and more, and then to release in his safety bins, in his garbage bins, these toxins. So in this way, I'm speaking philosophically. I don't want to be a doctor, and I never pretended to be a doctor to teach anything to anybody. I just explain a view, which is the ancient Chinese 5,000 years old view, which explains that we have to see the human bodies from a different perspective. So when we become old and the toxicity level increases, then these two organs in the male and the female, they start to show problems. So the first step is to understand this and start to clean without losing time, without missing the chance. Unfortunately, this is not known in the normal society. So in the normal society, you see these women and these men going through protocols of the allopathic medicine, and at the end, they arrive to the surgery, they arrive to the chemotherapy, they arrive to all this. And unfortunately, this is the result of a certain philosophy at the base. I'm sorry, because this is my telephone, which receives messages.
It's your telephone. Okay, I'm trying to mute.
And I cannot switch off because I don't know what's happening to it.
Okay.
I apologize.
Do you want to pause? I can talk to Pauline. Do you want to pause? Come out of the Zoom and maybe check the phone call, because it's been going for some time, hasn't it? And it might be quite urgent. Do you want to do that?
It's the signal of the messages, and that's when the message arrives, it makes all this noise. This is the problem.
Okay.
give me a pause. I will try, but I don't promise I will succeed because I'm not so strong in technology.
No,
I
know.
know body technology, but not the
I
human.
know we're all in the same boat. I know with our phones, they do super things, but we don't know how to control them. They kind of control us, don't they? Yeah, just maybe have a look and see if you need to do anything, Michelangelo, because I know it is very important what you're saying, and you might have somebody, you know, has an urgent problem, or I don't know.
On and then apologize when these noises come up is only
Okay,
because maybe
well, it's just that's fine. Now I know what it is. No problem. But we've lost the flow. I've lost the flow. Just oh, so going back, because this is so interesting, especially the male aspect of what you're talking about. This is really interesting. And when we're talking about the menopause, I know many women that have really struggled. And they've talked, oh, I'm going through perimenopause, premenopause, and now I'm going through the menopause, and it lasts 10 years, and I can't sleep, and I swear, and all this kind of stuff. Personally, for me, it just happened. Just one day I stopped menstruating, and I thought, oh my God. And I was very sad. I was happy to keep having periods, although they were quite heavy as I was getting to the menopause. They were heavier, and they are an inconvenience if you don't want children as a woman. You think, okay, I've had my children now. They are a pain, but I was happy to have them because I know the estrogen and the goodness that the pyramids, the periods do. But then when I had my menopause, I was waiting for the sweats and the anger and the flushes and the flash, all this stuff, and it didn't happen. I just stopped menstruating. And then I actually thought, oh my God, this is weird. But I thought, I'm no longer a woman. And I don't know if other women feel it's like a loss, it's like a bereavement. Until you accept it, you think, okay, now I'm in this other stage of being the hag, the crow, the wise woman, or whatever it is. But it is a very challenging time in many ways. No, not just physically, emotionally, what you're letting go of. I mean, have you any comments, either yourself or Pauline, if you have anything to say about that?
to say because you know, we have a life cycle with the different periods. Up to 50 or 55, 60, the woman is ready to conceive a child and bear a pregnancy and develop this child in himself, and then to be a mother and breastfeed and do all these things which are utmost important. Then after this means that is no more period for the pregnancy, but it's a period for another type maybe of pregnancy where you use your experience, your know-how, your life observation, your growth, your maturity to do and to concentrate on another form of creativity. That's why the menopause is only a period in which you can observe that you should change part of the habits. The woman is not only a mother in the first period of her life. She is a creative being, and when the period of creation in the human sense, in terms of giving life, she can enter in a different period in which she is even more creative, not only on the physical sense, like babies or breastfeeding or growing the children, but to apply what she has learned from nature into a higher level, which is less maybe physical, but is more, it could be social, interactive, relationship wise, all these, and wisdom and all these.
So no, I agree. I think if you have got your health, I think it's an amazing time in a woman's life, actually. I'm loving it. Once I've gone through that change, they call it the change of life. But I think it's a very positive thing. Can we just see, Pauline, what do you have any comments on this, being a woman having gone through the menopause? You might be muted, Pauline.
No, I'm still here, I think.
Okay.
I had a history of taking the birth control pill.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of my periods for most of my adult womanhood were pretty regulated. And when it came to the menopause, it was the complete opposite. So let's say, for instance, I had a 28-day cycle. In that 28-day cycle, I would not bleed for 23 days and bleed for 5. And then we'd switch back and I'd not bleed for 23 days, and that was the cycle. When it came to menopause, I was bleeding non-stop for 23 days, and then I would stop for about 5 days, and then it'd go back. So it was the complete opposite. And I had an awful lot of bleeding and liver release. Literally, sometimes I'd call them like little vagina burps. I could feel a kind of come out, and then when that
Yeah.
happened, all I need to do is look down, and there was a big blob of
Right.
very solid
The real release. Yeah.
release. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Cleansing.
yeah, that went on for quite some time. I don't remember how long,
And that must have been
but it didn't.
exhausting.
No, I
Okay.
was following Michelangelo's way, and I wasn't exhausted by it. I just had to be practically prepared
Okay. Of course.
to
Yes.
cater for this experience. And
Hmm.
sometimes I might forget to have, so that was a little bit of a nuisance. But
Yes.
beyond that, it was really fair, I would call it relatively smooth all the way through, until one day in my early 50s, I just stopped. I went, "Oh, thank goodness
Yeah.
for that. I don't have to carry around all this different paraphernalia with me." And
Like
I
having a
would,
new baby, isn't it?
okay. Yeah, possibly, yeah. So that was my experience of it. It just came and went, and just there was a very smooth transition for however long it took. It may have been 2.5 years or something like that. I don't quite remember. And since then, I have been able to, he's right, more creativity, um,
Yeah.
by way of poetry that I write, um, and being able to help Michelangelo and support him
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
has
Yes.
been
So it's a new
a big.
baby. You're birthing a new
He's not
baby.
my baby. He's definitely
No.
not my baby.
No, but the idea, the work that you're doing, that's the baby. He's the papa.
Yeah, and also he knows me very well, because he doesn't push me into getting into a place where I could be too stressed,
Yes.
because he knows my anatomy and physiology and
Yes.
psychology, and knows why I came to see him in the first place. So it's
So, wow,
beautifully looked after.
fantastic. It's like a disco today on today's show. Um, Michelangelo, is there any way a woman then can prepare for her menopause? Because I know you mentioned earlier that your parents had given you an imbalance, as I guess all our parents, because they do what they think is best for us, but they don't always don't always give us the right foods, or maybe they give us too many medications from the pharmaceutical world. Is there, what would you suggest for a younger woman, a woman in their 20s and 30s, not that they're even thinking of menopause because they're thinking of reproduction and having babies, but what would you suggest for a woman going through their various stages of life?
I suggest that they start to clean, because even if they are thinking to give birth to children, if they are not clean, they pass to the children their informations. So normally, when women come to have suggestions and consultations, I always suggest them to stop eating their own food, stop eating, what could increase the toxicity of the body, and support them having some other helps, let's say from nature, like herbs, practice, anything which helps the body to clean faster and deeper, and to be prepared, not to be scared when in the cleansing process you see sometimes also heavy symptoms, and you can have fever, you can have more abundant release in the period, you can have boils, cyst, phlegm coming out of the body. This is when the body is cleaning and preparing for a better level of conception, breastfeeding, and then of course, then you arrive to the menopause much more ready and less intoxicated. So the body has not a huge work to do. The huge work is coming from a body who has been overly intoxicated. So,
Yes.
Apart from the food, there are many natural practices which help the body to clean deeper, to have more energy for the cleaning process. Like, for example, I'm teaching a seminar which is called Natural Practices, and I suggest the use of the hot and cold water, the stimulation of the body with the steam, with the cold water, with the ice, then a natural life, let's say sunbathing, and we use also some instrument like the pyramids, which I was a student from Les Brown, who was the discoverer of the modern pyramid effect and power. So we have also the herbs, the study of the herbs, and also to use the food as a mean of like a medicine, you know. So certain foods are very toxic, so you should avoid some other food that your inner doctor would recognize. You should use them a lot, you know, in order to, for example, the period in which you like the wild garlic, you like the onions, you like some tubers like the taro potato, the cassava potato, or maybe you like the horseradish or whatever, you know, whatever you feel your body is craving, support it. And because using these herbs or vegetables to increase the cleansing power of the body, also juices and fruits, of course. Then there is the propolis. We have a great variety of this kind of support for the body, you know.
Sure. In a doctor, what about, because once a woman's gone through menstruation, through the menopause, so the estrogen, the hormones change, and you hear that a lot of women suffer from osteoporosis. I can't say the word, but like bone density. So a lack of calcium and stuff like that. So how should we, look after ourselves with that regard? Because that's quite an important factor.
Very important, because we have to remember that the minerals are absorbed by the colon, by the large intestine, and they are feeding the kidney. So a low energy colon and a low energy kidney will provide bigger problems to the body. On the same time, remember that what helps the fixation of the calcium in the body, which is not coming from the calcium. Remember that the calcium is arriving from the silicon. Paracelsus knew it already 500 years ago. And the silicon is, the people eat a lot of food with a lot of calcium. They do a big mistake, because they should feel also what, well, for example, we give very light dosages of horsetail, which is is a plant rich of silicon, which then in the body will be transformed into calcium. But in this transformation, a big role is played by the protomelanin and the melanin, which are the ingredients in the body which are stimulated by the exposure to the sun energy. So we do not live a very healthy life. We don't stay too much at the sun. And some people arrive even to have the allergy to the sun, which means that the body is not ready to deal with this power, which is very strong. And this is again a problem with liver, intestine, kidney. So these organs should be realigned, reorganized, rebalanced.
Yeah.
And that's we enter with the higher techniques, like you can have reflexology, connected massage, shiatsu, acupuncture, if it's done in a proper way, you know.
So talking about the sun, okay, I love sunbathing. A lot of people don't, because also with the world in which we live at the moment, they're telling us to stay out the sun because we're going to die. I don't tend to use sun creams. For many years, I haven't used sun creams, and I used to always wear sunglasses, always. But then I realised that from my research that by wearing sunglasses, you're not allowing your body to receive the messages from the sun, and therefore protect the skin by creating more, is it melatonin? So I stopped wearing sunglasses, and it's I haven't missed them. Beforehand, I had to have like 10 pairs of sunglasses because I was always losing them. So what would you say about sun creams, sunglasses? You're saying the sun is really important. Should we moderate it? If you've got a brand new baby, do you cover the baby up straight away, or do you allow the baby to get a little bit of sun? What do you think?
I have a subjective idea, because if you are not used to be exposed to the sun, you have to increase slowly the approach. You cannot take a full dosage of sun if your skin is not ready to receive it. The same with the eyes. So one of my teachers, Dorothy Marshall in Canada, she was saying always that she was telling that if you use sunglasses, there is a more percentage of probability to suffer glaucoma and cataract when you become old, which it could also be not so dramatic, but because these problems like glaucoma, cataract, and all these eye problems, they are all related again with organs like liver, like intestine, like spleen, which have not been properly fed and not properly treated. That's why the prevention becomes paramount, because, okay, when you arrive to a level in which you're fully intoxicated, for sure, you have to clean. But it's better to keep clean earlier. That's why the education is fundamental for the young generation. But here, they don't push on this. They push on the vaccines, on the drugs, on all the story, and the medicine universities, because they're all sponsored by pharmaceutical companies. They don't care about. They are only concentrated.
Follow the money. Follow the money. Okay, HRT, hormone replacement therapy. Okay, so we're talking about what we put into our bodies. Many women take HRT as they reach the menopausal age. So your lip's gone up there. I mean, your comments on that one, Michelangelo.
If you follow philosophically a system in which you are speaking about natural balance, perfect nature to give hormones, and you don't know also the origin of these hormones, is almost like a crime. If you learn that if you have children, you never do the homework for them, otherwise they will never learn anything. If the body does not produce certain hormones, it's not because it's stupid or is lazy or is not capable. It's because there are so many imbalances in it that oblige the body to keep at bay this production, because a bigger problem would grow if you flood the body with these hormones. So again, I hope I'm not so repetitive. The problem is behind. We have to create a situation of cleaning, prevention, because I see so many women, they take hormones when they are before the menopause and in the menopause and after, which for me, speaking in a natural world, is a huge crime. They resolve the problem. In reality, it's like when you drive your car and the indicator of the oil, the little lamp, the little red lamp starts to switch on. If you pull this out and you switch off the signal, you don't get annoyed by the light, by this, but the engine sooner or later will burn because you were not able to read what this lamp was indicating you. So the fact to have a an imbalanced hormonal level means that there is so much imbalance in the body, and the hormones, which are too much or too little, are playing a role in trying to keep the situation in a healthy state, in a natural state. But we sacrifice everything to the goal that we have. Maybe I have to work, I have to produce, I have to make money, I have to go to my job. Then they take, in this, they pay a very heavy price in the future. It's like you create great debts to your health life. Body.
Well said. And the fact that you repeat things is excellent, and it's probably because I'm asking the questions, but all roads lead to Rome, as they say. It comes back to cleansing and the organs, and I think it's really important that you do repeat. Because I think there's a friend of mine that comes to mind. She takes hormone replacement therapy, and I was very surprised. She's in her 60s. She's very health conscious, very fit, very able, looks amazing, but she takes HRT. And I said, why do you do that? And she calls it a natural product rather than a pharmaceutical. And she says, well, I want to keep up my libido, my skin, I want to stay young, I want to be fit. So, you know, I didn't even know there was a natural alternative to this. And I know when she couldn't find her pills one day, she got a little bit upset. And I thought, to me, again, it's messing with nature. The body knows best. But is there an alternative? Is it your same opinion for natural HRT and chemical HRT, whatever natural is?
Well, the problem is, again, that sometimes, I don't know in the case of your friend, because we are all different, but probably has a great biological inheritance from her parents, but cleans her body, and then she can get activated energetically all the endocrine glands, which are related with the organs, and they are also related with the chakras. Now I open for the first time a window, but I don't want to create too much space also for this, because this is a huge department. As soon as you enter in the chakra, you deal with emotions, you deal with the spiritual things, which are very important, but I don't feel to mess up too many things. We are just speaking elementary. So in the your friend, maybe she would not need these hormones if she keeps her body in a proper stimulation, because she has already the vitality, the idea to keep herself fit and in order. And this, she's unconscious, unawarely, she's a victim of the science and the publicity and all what's going on. You know, they want to invent the hormones for the longevity, and the hormones to keep the libido. I have women that being normal in a natural way, they have still the libido at 60s, 70s, and everything without taking any. No, this is not an issue. This is not an issue.
That's good to know. Can I also, I know we're coming up to, well, 40, 50 minutes, and you're so interesting what you have to say, especially you just alluded to chakras. Maybe we can come to that on another show, but I did want to mention Ayurveda and the Indian philosophy linked to yoga and the Ayurvedic diet. Do you have any comments on that? And the reason I ask is because I was on a yoga retreat many years ago with another friend, and we were all having our regular periods at that time. And my friend attended the class to do the early morning yoga, and the teacher, a man, he sort of looked at her, sniffed her out literally, and told her to leave. She couldn't practice yoga because she was on her monthly period. And in that philosophy, it was because your body is always working very hard, you are menstruating, you need to rest the body. That's not a Western concept. I mean, you know, we get on and do anything with periods. And there used to be an advert, Paulie might remember, an advert on the television for one of the women's products. And if you use this women's product, you remember you can go horse riding, swimming, trampolining, skiing, jumping out of aeroplanes, which again means, if you have a period, then you can carry on with life. But what do you think of that on the Ayurvedic scale?
I have to tell you that I have spent quite a lot of time in India, going back and from Italy, from America, and I was dealing with people, also Ayurvedic teachers and everything. And the problem again is the lack of base and lack of culture, because we have forgotten that the Ayurvedic medicine is not the original Ayurvedic. The original Ayurvedic was the 5-element medicine, which has been kept as original in China and in Japan with the 5 elements, the Taoistic medicine. The Ayurveda originally was with the 5 elements, but because it was originated in India, they thought to simplify it or to improve it, reducing to 3 elements, to the Kapha, Pitta, Vata. And also the Ayurveda received a great pressure from the religion in the moment in which from a Trinity God, in which it was Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, like we had in the West. Remember that, well, this becomes a huge speech, because when we go in the Bible and we see when the Jewish people, they flee from the Egypt and they cross the Red Sea. Remember Moses, which opens the sea, and they arrived on the Sinai Peninsula, and then they are wandering for many years in this Sinai Peninsula looking for the promised land. At a certain point, Moses is called by Godfather, and he goes up to the mountain to receive the tables of the law, the 10 commandments. But because he was staying too long, the Jewish lost the momentum and the strength to remain on the proper religion, and they mint a golden calf, which they started to adore. So when came back, he broke the tables of the law on the golden calf with a supreme act of violence. It's a sort of violence. And if you are able to read through this writing of the Bible, this means that there was a period in which they arrived also the influence of the Indian philosophy, because in India they worship the cow, so the calf, the cow, the bull. But the fraction of people, they overcame this new wave people, and they remained loyal to the original message of the God, the Trinity God. Vishnu, Shiva is the equivalent of Godfather, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And because I was many years in India, and I could deal with these people, they have lost the real origin of the Ayurveda. So they are giving, because in the religion, in the Vedic, in the Hindu religion, there is the worship of the cow. They use a lot of cow products even in the Ayurvedic discipline. So you can use the buttermilk, the ghee, the cow's urine, what else? The
horn,
the yogurt, dahi, all these things. And this is not very healthy. And when they do the panchakarma, the more let's say advanced, they are starting to realize that it's not so good. But in general, the average, they use the ghee, they give you this cleansing, but not teaching what to do after. So you go in a place, you clean your car, and then they not teach you how to use your car, and then you get out in another period, you get again intoxicated, you get problems and everything. So that's why I'm not so fond, even if I have great respect. Also, I had Ayurvedic teachers. They said, "Oh, but you are too much extreme against the milk, against the nightshades. I say, but the nightshades arrived in India through the British people. You know, there was no potato, tomato in India 500 years ago. But you are using that. You use a lot of nightshades like the green peppers and the chili peppers. You know, these are not originally from India. They came from the West. You know, and then if also they drink a lot of milk and tea together with the sugar, and that's why the Indian society, the Indian population, has the highest rate of diabetes in the world. Not because of the sugar, but because of the black tea. Because the black tea they drink 6-8 times a day, and this is worse than coffee, and destroys. It creates a lot of adrenaline, which destroys the production of the Langerhans islands of the pancreas. So the insulin gets totally neutralized, and then the sugar level goes higher and higher. So that's why.
Is this because of the tannin in the black tea? Is it tannin that causes this? I don't know if he's frozen or he didn't get the question.
It looks like he's frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, he's coming back.
Tannin. Pauline, whilst
he's
we're
there.
waiting.
He's back
he's
now.
there. Okay. This is an interesting recording. Are you there, Michelangelo?
Can you repeat because it was frozen?
Yeah, it froze. Yeah, tannin. I'm saying I didn't know that black tea. Luckily, I don't drink black tea. Causes diabetes. Is that because of the tannin in the tea? Is tannin?
No, not the tannin. Remember, all the teas, they have a very high content of theine, which is the equivalent of the caffeine. A tea is 20 times stronger than a coffee. The tea is 20 times stronger in terms of stimulation of the adrenaline glands. So when we overstimulate, we use these teas, we stimulate too much the adrenaline glands, and producing the adrenaline, we neutralize the insulin that normally the pancreas produces. So that's why then the sugar level goes higher. Plus the stress, the fear not arriving in time, the fear not to accomplish all what you have to do, the fear not to be a good father, a good mother, a good citizen, whatever. All the fears produce more and more adrenaline. So altogether, then you get tired and you need some stimulant to keep on with your life. So that's why we eat meat, fish, then we drink tea, we drink coffee. All is called adrenergic, adrenaline producer, adrenaline stimulators. And then the problem starts, you know. In fact, after the COVID, the adrenaline level has raised, the fear level is raised, so the diabetes is another soaring sickness, you know, in the West. But nobody wants to see what are the real implications of it. They give the insulin thinking to resolve the problem. And this creates more the people will burn themselves more and more, and then it will become a tragedy. It's already a tragedy now. But in India, almost 20% of the Indian population suffers of diabetes, and they don't understand.
That's so interesting. And like you say with the ghee, I mean, ghee, you know, the butter is there all the time, isn't it? Which isn't my favorite, but that's so interesting. So it's fascinating. We're coming up to the hour now, so I think we need to close this. Is there anything you would like to say to close, Michelangelo? I mean, again, you've been fascinating. So grateful for this information.
Because we started with the theme of the menopause, and then I think you have a dear friend who was asking for this. I would suggest that we return more to natural. Well, what I teach is system of natural life or system of natural health, to return to understand the laws of nature. Natural comes from nature. So nature in us is speaking, but we have lost this language, the understanding of this language. So we need to clean, not to be afraid of the sickness, but to be afraid of our mistakes and understand what these mistakes can create in the long run, in the future. But also this requires a certain sensitivity, a certain wide perspective and intelligence,
Yes.
which I hope all your followers and your listeners are gifted of it, because otherwise they would not follow this kind
Yes.
of show and everything.
And it's good news to say that if we are out of sync, out of balance for many years, it's never too late. We can always get ourselves back into a good state of homeostasis.
Well, if I can finish with this example, remember, you see the people that are dying with incredible pain and sufferance. This is the sign that the body wants to stay alive. Up to the last moment, the body fights to stay alive, because there is an inbuilt program to stay alive in each body, in each being. The problem is that we have not been capable to understand this. So we fight the pain, we fight the sickness, we fight the work that the body does in order to stay alive, which implies that we have to understand this kind of view, this kind of philosophy, which is exactly the opposite that is given worldwide, by all the official structures.
Yeah, I love that. That makes so much sense. We have a survival mechanism within us, don't we? So yes, that totally makes sense. So grateful. I'm hoping to meet you next week. I know you're coming over to England next week, so I'm very much
Yes.
hoping to meet you. And and we're going to do a cooking session. So yeah, thank you, and I will see you next week, Michelangelo.
Yes,
And we'll just jump over to Pauline. Hello. You there?
I'm here.
So is there anything you would like to say to close or about next week and what we're going to be doing?
No, not really. I think we'll be in the flow. We'll decide what we're going to cook at the moment. I very much like what I call cupboard cooking. Open the cupboard, see what's there, and let's create in that moment. I think you have mentioned about you have a love of sweet things. So we can do a lot of can do a lot of sweeteners, maybe some sweet polenta pie or some apple crumble, something along those lines. If some of the people who are watching this, they have some ideas of what they might like to be seen cooked. One of my things that I like to do an awful lot is to take a recipe and tweak it so that it can be, and sometimes it's only the tiniest little bit of a tweak that eliminates that which could be a problem.
Fantastic. So next week it's in the kitchen for a yes menu, a yes food menu. And also, Pauline, when we do the yes foods, that is helping with the cleanse of the body, I take it. Yeah, it's not a maintenance, or are we doing a cleanse before we do the maintenance?
They are synonymous. They are simultaneously integrated. I think the point is that once the body has enough energy to really start clearing things out, to not be afraid of it and just to support it rather than run somewhere else to get some help that's not necessary.
Yeah. I'm very excited. So I'm going to be with you in your kitchen. We're going to be chopping and cooking and steaming and what have you.
Whatever.
And whatever comes up, and not drinking black tea. So thank you again.
No, but we can have plenty of no coffees, and I've got some wonderful banter tea from Japan. So there's a whole heap of teas that can be drunk that aren't going to be stimulants, and a whole load of coffees that aren't going to. Yeah, I've got some fabulous caffè d'orzo, like espresso style. Many, lots and lots of no coffees, I call them.
No coffee. Superb. So I look forward to meeting them next week as well, and meeting you in the flesh, and meeting Michelangelo. And thank you so much. And for those watching, yes, again, you're on Wise Women Weekdays. Thank you for joining us. Please comment, like, share, subscribe. Any questions, put them in the description, and we will get back to you. All right, and we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Thank you.